Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the channel that challenges the mainstream media and the political establishment, from the left-wing nutters to the globalist elite. So, in the first video of the day, we're going to talk about Suella Braverman's illegal migration bill. The bill that has become a huge headache, not just for the political left and the Labour Party, but also Rishi Sunak himself and his cabinet. Now, guess what? Get this. Suella is being accused of siding with the right-wing Tory rebels against Rishi Sunak. Now, of course, considering she's a Home Secretary herself, she's inside Rishi Sunak's cabinet. This is creating a bit of an issue for Downing Street's communications teams and press office, because they have to deal with all the media hacks asking certain questions. This whole thing happened because over the last few days we've had a number of right-wing Tories, and the few of them that are left, who have been having a bit of a row with the government, saying, well, this bill is good, but it could be better. We could be tougher, and let's make sure that, of course, ECHR judges and all the others don't really create obstacles. And Suella is listening, and so now she's listening too much. So Team Rishi Sunak are accusing her of creating problems for their government. They're basically saying that she's a rebel who's now working in the government because she's been having secret talks with the Tory backbenchers. Now, the Home Secretary has been in talks with the Tory MPs who are on the right side of the Tory party, who do want to toughen, they want her to toughen her illegal migration bill. And of course, one of the fears that they have is the European Court of Human Rights, and of course the Convention on Human Rights, and all the judges and all the lawyers and activists and everybody else, the so-called human rights groups, causing trouble every single time that the British government want to protect our borders, and even if they want to at times, when they make a bit of an effort. Now, the Home Office themselves haven't really denied any of this sort of the conversations, and we now know some updates. Last night we heard about these rebels and the talks that they've had with Suella Braverman, because apparently they are winning against Rishi Sunak and the civil service. So, a Home Office source has said that they did not deny suggestions that Suella Braverman had fought for tougher laws in the cabinet on behalf of the Tory MPs, the backbench rebels, but was overruled by Rishi Sunak amid concerns from Attorney General Victoria Prentice about breaching international law. Now, we all know by now that Suella herself doesn't really mind bending international law. She's more of a maverick sort of character, but the problem is you've got the Attorney General, the Prime Minister, the Chancellor, Jeremy Hunt, and all the other civil servants who are on the more cautious side of politics. They go with their consensus and they say, well, what about how we look on the international stage? It's just not a good look. Well, what if we break international law? What if they were going to go to The Hague? You can always either exit treaties or renegotiate treaties. That's always been a thing in the world. That's part of international law. But they don't want you to think that, because that's just going to create more chaos for them. Now, last night, at the 11th hour, the Tory rebels called off the rebellion for now, as the government and Rishi Sunak finally surrendered and agreed to having proper discussions. Now, this is according to the Express, that understands that Tory rebels have come to an agreement with the government over this bill. Now, there are at least 20 Tory MPs who've been leading this rebellion and backing this amendment. But it was expected many more Tory backbenchers would have sided with the rebels last night if the government hadn't negotiated a ceasefire. Among the rebels were a number of Conservative grandees, including Sir Bill Cash, Sir John Hayes, and Sir Ian Duncan Smith, as well as Sir Edward Lee and Sir Christopher Trope. Over Brexit hardliners, other Brexit hardliners like Jonathan Gollis, Simon Clarke, Peter Bone, Mark Francois, Andrew Jenkins, and Craig McKinley also backed this amendment to ensure that if we are going to have this bill getting passed through Parliament, and the Rwanda housing scheme is already basically almost completed and everything's ready for the first flight in the summer, early summer, make sure that no left-wing activist lawyer creates any obstacle last minute. Make sure that the European Union don't really send their judges here to tell us what to do, and make sure that the United Nations don't have an emotional breakdown as usual. So far, so good. We have to be cautious. I'm still very skeptical about how things could end, but at the same time, if they could get this done, they have to then take it to the next level. It's still not just good enough to stop the future illegal migrants illegally entering the country. We also have to do something about many people who are already here, who have to be deported, who also have to be sorted out in terms of the applications and the whole process and everything else. Because you can't just say, well, we've stopped illegal migration, everything's perfect now. Well, it's not, because the burden of public services and the housing sector in general in this country is causing trouble. Forget about the harm that it's doing to national security concerns and, of course, the safety of our kids and vulnerable people on the streets of the UK. That's also a different matter. But I'm simply just talking about our resources as a country and our land. It is what it is, like I said. But we're going to keep you guys posted on this throughout the day and over the next few days as we find out more about what's going on inside Rishi Sunak's cabinet. We're going to have a lot of other updates for you guys, including what's going on in Oxfordshire. And we're going to have a special interview with one of the top councillors who's against net zero crazy measures like the low traffic neighborhoods and the ULEZ clean air zones later on today as well. Subscribe to the channel. I'm Mahyar, Tousi, and we are the media.